Your home with BuildAid on Mix 93.8. Proudly brought to you by AfriSam. AfriSam, creating concrete possibilities.
BuildAid on Mix 93.8 FM. Good evening. My name's Graham Alexander. In the studio with us, Simon Cretney. He's been away ill for a while. Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks. Great to be here.
But we had some pretty good guys stepping in for you, Si. And Kay, as usual, looking after all of us. And what else are we doing this evening?
Well, because we're talking about painting the town any colour you like tonight, I'm looking for another of Josie's iconic landmarks. This one offers a heart-stopping adrenaline rush and is very colourfully painted. So if you know which one I'm talking about, SMS us on 41348.
I'm going to be chatting to Brigitte Prior. Brigitte's from a company, Promac Paints. I'm sure we've all heard of Promac. And we're going to go through some of the do's and don'ts and costs of painting. Brigitte Prior from Promac Paints, thank you so much for coming to chat to us.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Paint is something that I think all of us get involved with, whether it's on a DIY basis or you designing your new home and you want a whatever coloured lounge. So we're all familiar with paint as a product, but sometimes we don't know the things that we should know, like cheap paint and painting over cracks and so on. So that's what we're going to chat about this evening, Brigitte. But before we do that, Promac Paints. Where did it start? How long has it been around?
It's been around for nearly 25 years, and it was founded by Vaughan Prost and Stephen Reinicke. They are actually brothers-in-law, and they started the company, a very small company in Pretoria, Silverton, and they've grown over the years, and today they're the largest privately owned paint company in South Africa.
You guys also do the brand or unbranded, should I say, paints with Builders Warehouse?
Oh, yes, we do. We do Fired Earth, all the house brands for builders, and the Builders Pride. We also do Chamberlain's Paints as well, their house brands, as well as the Jack's house brands as well.
Okay. I remember talking to one of your colleagues from the South African Paint Manufacturers Association, Derek Spence, and we went through the quantities in the industry. I was astounded how much paint South Africa uses, or any country for that matter.
And there's over 300 paint manufacturing companies in South Africa that's registered with SAPMA at the moment. So it actually makes it quite difficult for the consumer to actually choose, from all the different brands.
Brigitte, how did you get into it?
Just maybe by default. I think I've always had affiliation with buildings. Before I went into the paint industry, I was in real estate for many years in East London. And then we came up to Pretoria, and there was an advert to work with architects and buildings. And not knowing a thing about paint, I went for the interview and got it. And I've never looked back, and I really enjoy working with colour and seeing the buildings go up and see the finished product.
East London, that's where all the nice people come from.
Yes, I think so too.
And I know often people go, well, how do you know that? I was fortunate enough to be involved in a whole lot of projects down there, and I really do believe the Eastern Cape people are mega friendly. Talking paint, quality and price is something that plays a serious role in most consumer goods. Yes. But paint is something that needs longevity. It's gonna secure a home from waterproofing and so on and so on. So what I'd really like to cover clearly tonight is what's lousy paint, what's good paint, what should it cost, and how far would a litre of paint go. We often use paint as an example when we talk about quality, because there's actually no such thing as cheap paint, because you're going to paint this place, your room or your house or whatever, and you're going to have to do it again because it failed. So don't buy cheap paint. It's really not a good idea.
Yeah.
And Brigitte, when it comes to preparing surfaces ready for painting, whether it's a DIY application or a contractor application, I think the consumer just needs to understand how critical this is.
The surface preparation is absolutely critical for a successful job, because you've got to, first of all, you've got to make sure that your walls are dry, because if your walls are not dry, you're going to get blistering. The next is you've got to make sure that all the cracks have been fixed. If there's cracks, repair the cracks, because if that doesn't happen, then water can get into those cracks and will also cause a paint failure. So if you go through your building and make sure that, I'm just giving you 2 examples of surface preparations, but water is 99% of the time is where the problems come from. On a building, especially on houses, moisture, water, ingress. So if you look after and make sure that the surface preparation has been done very well and you use the correct primer, then the top coats, you can use a more economical, you can go to the coating for 10 years, So it does allow you to go with maybe a cheaper or more economical paint, as long as that surface preparation is done correctly.
I think we've all dipped the wrong paintbrush, or should I say the paintbrush, into the wrong solvent. In the past, with your enamel, and you put it in water and it goes all sticky, or you put your PVA into the tubes. But those days are sort of gone because most paints are water-based now.
Yes. Well, the thing is, because of environmental, water-based paints and what they call green paints has been on the market now for the last 4 to 5 years. And what it really is that it's non-toxic. There's no leads in the paints anymore because there's legislation. So the cots and that furniture that gets painted and children are there, they don't have that health hazard anymore.
Different types of paint for different applications. I want to see if my observation is correct. Is as paints have improved scientifically, that you don't need as many different kinds of paint. So you've almost got a one paint does all.
Yes. Well, the thing is with the water-based products, if it's exterior paint, you've got to have the UV resistance and that sort of thing, where it's not really necessary on the inside. And the inside, you've got to have a very good washable paint.
Yeah.
So it's really when people go and look at paint, it's really about the color and the aesthetics on their building that really attracts them, although paint is also part of the protection of the substrates or your walls.
The ideal world, and I know a lot of manufacturers have done this, you walk into a store, we were talking about merchandising, and you'd look at, this is for the wall, this is for windows, this is for that, and so on.
Yes.
would be quite neat. But I think in marketing, you're in marketing, but you're also on the technical side too, is even when it comes to cements. AfriSam are our buddies. They sponsor this show, and they have brands. And people say, but cement is cement, but it's not always.
No, it's not
always the case.
It's all about the additives and the quality of the raw materials that go in to make in the manufacturing of the paint. That's what actually makes a difference.
We have published a book called The How-To of Building. That's sold through most bookstores and through Builders Warehouse. In fact, Builders Warehouse partnered with us on this particular publication. And under the painting section, we attempted, and I think we've been pretty successful at it, in putting a matrix together of the key manufacturers of paint in South Africa, yes, and what is an enamel, what does it look like, what does it do, and so on and so on. And I'm here going through, there we go, I thought I was never going to find it. And your company Promac is in that,
yes,
in that matrix. It's on page 620 in the book, The How-To of Building. And it goes through all the different paints that are available in the market.
Yes, and it gives you all the features and benefits. And yes.
And I would advise going through that before you go and buy any paint. Look, if you're just going to paint your stool in your kitchen, I'm sure the retailer will help you out. Okay, so who are the winners?
So I was accepting answers of Orlando Towers, FNB Towers, or Soweto Towers. Okay, everyone's a little bit confused as to what they're actually called now, but they're extraordinary. We've been there, had a lot of fun. I did not jump. Ain't going to do that, but quite a few people have said they've jumped. It's pretty cool. Go and check them out. It's definitely a Josie landmark, and we're going to be playing out just now with a song about Joburg that our very special naming James designed for us and by you.
Adam Ford gave me a buzz before the show started, and he wishes everyone well, and he misses all of you, and he sends his regards to everyone in this studio.
Well, I hope he's going to listen in to his old show from 7 to 9. And
I'm sure he will.
I'm sure he's not impressed that it's now called the greatest show on earth
Yeah.
when it used to just be called the Adam Cortino Show.
Okay, thanks to Simon on the desk and his contributions. Thanks to Kay, and thanks to Ian for videoing everything. But more importantly, thank you to you guys out there and to my guest, Brigitte Prior. Thanks for coming to chat to us.
And thank you very much for having me.
It's our pleasure. We do this every Wednesday between 6 and 7, and listen to the greatest show in the world after this with Simon Cretney. Chat to you next week. Bye.
Your home with BuildAid on Mix brings you all sorts of interesting info about building. Graham Alexander chats to different guests every Wednesday evening between 6 and 7. Proudly brought to you by AfriSam. AfriSam, creating concrete possibilities.